Hello everybody, how's it going? Welcome to this review of One Piece episode 955. And just like with the episode where we got the Yonko clash with Big Mom and Kaido, just like how that was an important episode, this episode was an important one for a number of different reasons. Not only with the alliance by the end of the episode, with the Yonko, but also because of the setup of what's about to go down in Onigashima at the Fire Festival. I tell you what, this episode did a great job of hyping you up throughout the episode. Oh man, it started off slow, but boy did it pick up. And it starts off, like I said, it starts off slow with a rehash of stuff that we've already seen, but also, I guess, with Ryuma and its legacy being told by Yukimaru through his duel with Zoro, how important Shusui was, how he caught it needs to be returned because it's a keepsake. So that's why it ties into the beginning. It did start off slow, but it makes sense as the episode rolls along. And obviously, Hiyori asking Zoro, return Shusui and I'll give you the replacement. We now know what the replacement is. He's going to get Enma, one of the two swords that was used by Kazuki Oden, the other being the Amino Habakiri. So we found out in this episode the Emna was handed down to Hiyori, and the Hamino Habikiri belonged to Momonosuke. Obviously, she's too young to wield that sword, and I guess Hiyori doesn't have the training to do it, so she's going to give that sword as a replacement to Zoro, who's more than happy to take it because it was hyped up to be the only weapon that's ever wounded Kaido. So you're not going to hype that sword up if it's not going to play a role in the fight, in the war against Kaido. So that's good. I guess Korematsu saying you can't hand that to someone like Zoro. You can't hand it to him because it's a keepsake from Odin. But Hiyori actually wants to repay a favor for obviously Zoro saving Hiyori's life. So that's cool. There's also a moment where Zoro actually states that he clashed with Ryuma back in Thriller Bark. They're not aware of it and they're kind of confused by the situation. It's kind of hilarious, honestly. The facial expression, like, huh? What are you talking about? Kawamatsu, are you crazy? Because the way Zoro played it out, like, oh, it was just a zombie, but I ended up fighting Ryuma. He gave me the sword, so I'll return it, but on the condition that you let me see Ryuma's grave once this is all said and done, which is all foreshadowing, so that's definitely going to happen by the end of the arc. So that's cool. And again, with the look of confusion, I guess Hiyori and Kawamatsu, but Hiyori having the crush for Zoro that she does, she ends up blushing by the end and say, okay, cool, you return the shoe sweet, so I'm going to give you the meat Emna. That's great. Then we go, this is where one of the most informative parts of the episode, where we go to the Ryatsu prison, where we see some of the, I guess, the rebels still held captive because of Orochi's paranoia, even though they're pretty much dedicated to the Kazuki clan, so it's obvious, but they're trying to find a way out. They're going to get a way out, but boy, this episode did a couple of things. One, it highlighted just how many allies the Straw Hats and the Akazaya 9, the retainers, actually have. So it's crazy. It's over 5,000 men. And Sanji pointed out in this episode, that's not a dream anymore. So that's great. And they're probably going to get even more allies. And they're going to need to. And we go to one of the best parts with Law turning the tables on Basil Hawkins. So before, Law got the shit beat out of him to free Beppo, Sachi, and Penguin. So Law was in a bad state, but the tables are turned because it looks like ex-Drake has switched sides, or at least betrayed Basil Hawkins, because you see the silhouette. It's kind of obvious who that is. So Law, I guess, used shambles to carve Hawkins up, and he gives what happened to the Kid Alliance, and we get the first clarification that Scratch Manapu betrayed the Kid Alliance because he was working for Kaido all along. That's one of the big reveals of this episode, and it ties into what happens later on. So, and we actually get some clarification what happened. Like, Hawkins knew he had zero chance of winning, so he opted to join. Like, he had no choice. Like, so I pretty much stated, like, he was waiting for an opportunity to, like, wait until the odds are in their favor, because he said his chances of survival was 0% had he gone against Kaido. Although he does hype up Kid and Killer, saying they completely did not want to follow Kaido. They like, fuck that. That's exactly what Luffy would do. They got their ass beat. We know what happened to Kid. So it's cool that Killer also followed suit. And then Hawkins gives the hype speech about the Yonko, how they're in a different league altogether. We kind of know that, but the fact that he's hyping it up, and it's for a reason, especially what happens by the end of this episode. So Law gets stunned by the reveal that Scratchman Apu was working for Kaido all along, but I still think because you have most of the members of the Worst Generation, there's going to come a point where Apu may end up switching sides, kind of like Hawk. It looks like Hawkins is just looking for a way out, basically. Like he was saying, like he's kind of like complimenting Law and Luffy's alliance, even though he's kind of throwing shade at the same time. Law gets pissed by that, so I guess he used Shambles to finish him off. And then he encounters ex-Drake and said, if this is a part of your plan, I'll go along with it. So who else could it be in silhouette over the next Drake? So that's cool. Law's escaped, so he's going to play a role. We know Kid is on the loose alongside Killer because they busted out of prison. They're going to be on the loose. So things are really taking shape. Luffy, we go back to Udon Prison, who's training with Rio. He's getting it down because if you look at the metal plate that he's punching, it's bending, and so because he's hitting it from within, that's what Rio is. And Luffy's getting it down. And there's obviously an attention to like quicken the pace because we go from a week to 6 days and then to 5 days by the end of the episode until the raid in Onigashima begins. So yeah, there's a time skip. There's a time skips in these episodes for a reason. You get to see other parts of Wano, what's going on right now. You see like the ships being put together by Frankie and Usopp. While this is going on, Kinemon's having a conversation with all the samurai who is with the Kazuki clan. Obviously talking about the symbol, the Habu symbol. We get actually clarification on why those symbols are important, because when Nami points it out, she doesn't really understand. She thinks she does, but she doesn't. And it's because unless you're from Wano, you're not going to understand. So each symbol is pretty much linked. I guess the symbol of the island is pretty much linked with animals, pretty much the snake. So the two lines are the most important parts. So they don't state what that is, but there's an important, and there's a reason for it. But we're going to find out why in Wano at 3. It becomes a very crucial part of important information. I mean, Yasui did his job. You have Frankie and Usopp. They're preparing the ships to go so they can have these 5,000 members of the Alliance on board. So that's cool. Plus, you're going to count in the Sunny. And you see the Akazai. Most of the Akazai 9, you're missing 2. So we have 7 show up alongside most of the Straw Hats. Luffy's still training. And obviously, Frankie and Usopp are preparing the ship. So there's not the full Straw Hat reunion. We have Zoro back with the gang, so that's cool. I don't think he has Emma yet. That's going to happen in the next episode. I guess the hype for Yasui, but also Kinemon's speech about, what our mission is pretty much to take the heads of Kaido and Orochi at the raid in Onigashima. So we will take the heads of Kaido and Orochi. That's going to be debatable considering what's happening now, where we go to Onigashima, where we see Kaido and Big Mom eating and drinking it up. While this is going on, we're at the waterfalls, the entrance of Wano. Check it out, baby. We got Scratchman Apu leading the numbers of Onigashima straight to Kaido. So they're obviously in the fog, so they can't cover, so it covers them up. But Queen said they're crazy drunk, so that shit's gonna get real pretty quickly when we get to Onigashima. So Scratchman Apu, I'm assuming, is leading the numbers with his music. So obviously you see the ship, so that's pretty cool. And then the episode ends with pretty much the most worst case scenario for the Alliance yet, in the form of Big Mom and Kaido. And Queen is like puzzled because before the last we saw them, they were going at each other in a duel between 2 Yonko. Now they're drinking and laughing it up, partying it up. And Kaido follows it up by saying, we're going to have the greatest party ever, so drink it up. Scratchman Apu does have a conversation with Kaido. He's like, oh, I don't want to miss on that, because it ends with the declaration that Kaido and Big Mom, they get in each other's faces. But there's a pretty cool scene with the Big Mom pirates and the Beast pirates forming an alliance, and Big Mom and Kaido have allied together. If you look at the dialogue of what Kaido said, we will align with each other, but after that we'll go back to killing each other once we've conquered the world. So it's So this is probably the worst case scenario, because it's one thing to have two Yonko clashing with each other. It's another thing to have two Yonko form an alliance. So that's not good for not only the Straw Hats, but also the world government. This is one of the reasons why Kizaru pretty much stayed to Akainu back before we went into Wano. It's like, hey, do you want me to go into Wano to put a stop to the Yonko? Because they did not want this shit to happen. Like, now it is. So this is not good. So if the odds against Kaido weren't bad enough for Luffy, now they just raised the bar with Big Mom in the picture. So I enjoyed this episode. Like I said, it started off slow, but it made sense as it went along the way, and it also did a pretty good job of hyping you up. Looks like the hype's going to continue with Zoro and Luffy both training. The Mnet and Zoro's hands look beastly. If you see the aura, holy crap. It's going to be some mega hype when we get to Onigashima and Wano at 3. I really enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you guys think down below. Definitely one of the better episodes that we've gotten in Wano 2. In terms of context and in terms of animation, I think this is one of the best. Although I will say there are some instances where I guess there was a shot of Kaido reused 3 different times in the same episode. But other than that, this episode was great. But let me know what you guys think down below. That's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like the review if you did. Hit that thumbs up. I appreciate that. Helps out the channel. Subscribe to the channel for more One Piece. Catch you guys later. Thanks, guys. Bye.